Hello, I'm Emma Hammett from First Aid for Life and onlinefirstaid.com. And I wanted to share with you something so important. At our recent conference at the Royal Hospital Chelsea, our Stay Safe conference, Louise Baxter, who's in charge of Friends Against Scams and a real powerhouse trying hard to prevent the thousands and thousands of people, particularly older and more vulnerable people, from being scammed every year. It's not just older and vulnerable people, but the impact upon the older and more vulnerable in society is massive. Once people are scammed, it affects their confidence. Very often it leads to a physical decline, and quite often it kills them. And it's so cruel. It can be all sorts of things, and you can be vulnerable at different stages of your life. Things like moving house, a bereavement, starting a new job, having a baby, all make you more vulnerable and less alert to scams. And any of us can be scammed at any point. And the horrific side of scamming as well is not only you scammed by the person that initially scams you, your details are then shared and sold on a suckers list, and you become prey to hundreds of scam and spam and an influx of horrendous stuff. Now, Friends Against Scams focuses mostly on the postal side, and actually Louise Baxter Scott has gone to the post office and can actually stop an awful lot of this stuff at source, because she realised that there were an awful lot of particularly older people who were getting massive amounts of mail coming through, and who knows most about what mail is going. So if somebody's getting 10, 20, 30 bits of post every day, the postman or the post lady will know who those people are and where they are. So she worked with them, and now an awful lot of that toxic post is stopped at source, which is incredibly powerful. What she's also doing is asking people to collect up this scam and spam and this awful scamming type post that tells you you've won the lottery abroad, or somebody needs a tiny bit of money to do whatever. And she's stopping that, and she's asking people to send that through, and that then becomes evidence, and they are able to prosecute real people, send them to prison and stop them doing this. The other thing she's realised is that very often British people are not scamming other British people. They're scamming across the sea. They're scamming in America, and the Americans are scamming us, and various people from other parts of the world are scamming across. So now she's got a network where she's sharing that evidence so that other parts of the world can now prosecute as well. Now, we're sharing the links to Friends Against Scams on both our staysafe.support website and on First Aid for Life. And we ask you to join up with them, to work with Friends Against Scams. And if we all work together, we can do something to stop some of this awful phone calls and post happening to people. We've also been working with the e-crime team and looking at the emails and the email side of things. That's less of an issue for older people, although it's still there and very much impacts upon them. But this Facebook Live is focusing more on the post and the phone side. They can get things to block those phone calls. But the sad thing as well is that many older people like the contact. They like the fact that they're getting letters and they're getting phone calls, even if they know that this isn't true, but actually it's contact with someone. So the fundamental problem is loneliness. So the other side of things is, if you've got older people near you, do befriend them if you possibly can, and if they want to be befriended. But loneliness is a big issue, and it compounds this problem and makes people far easier to prey upon by these awful people. So it has a hugely detrimental effect on people, whatever their age, but particularly when they're older. And, it has led to deaths. It has, destroyed people's lives. And anything that we can do together to stop this happening must be a good thing. So please share this. Please share the links that we're going to be putting at the bottom and on our websites. And please, let's work together and see if we can stop it. That's Emma Hammett from First Aid for Life and onlinefirstaid.com.